Back on the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast this morning with Coach Keith Dambrot of the Duquesne Dukes over in Pittsburgh, former high school basketball coach of LeBron James at St. Vincent St. Mary, and he is also seventh in the 5 seasons on Duquesne's all-time wins list. Coach, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm curious, as you get ready and you look ahead to the new season, looks like you've done well, not quite, but almost an entire roster turnover. Is that generally a good place to start when we're talking?
Well, I don't know if it's a good place to begin or it's good for you, but after the season we had last year, we felt like we had to revamp it. And,
Yeah.
about 2 months before the season ended, we kind of sent our assistant coaches out and made sure that we never had to experience what we experienced last year again. And
Yeah,
so we ended up with 10 new guys, which I think we needed to do. And obviously with the landscape changing with the name, image, and likeness and the media transfer and the transfer portal, you have to be a little more flexible than we had to in the past.
sure. Now you got Trey Williams and Kevin Easley back from last year. They were your second and third leading scorers. Williams made 51.6% of his field goals.
So we actually we did keep four guys that probably would have played a lot for us. We kept Trey Williams, who obviously has been a good Division I player at both Indiana State and our place, and is a wonderful human being. And Kevin Easley, and then Austin Rotroff, who was injured about 2/3 of the way through or halfway through last year, which really hurt us. And then RJ Gunn, who only played 1 game for us, who we were counting on as well. So we have those guys back, and then Andy Barba, who we redshirted last season. So those are the only 5 guys we have back in our program. So we obviously had to go out and find some other guys.
Yeah. Now Easley, he was your leading rebounder, and I think the second most 3-point shots. So he's going to be a key in your beginning, with a new team, I guess.
Well, again, he's shown he can put numbers up. Now, all of us have to show we can win. And,
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is numbers really don't mean a lot unless you can win. And look, he wants to win, and he's put a lot of time into his game, and all those guys have. So, what we did is we went out and found some depth, so that, we never have to go through what we went through.
Yeah. When you go through that type of a struggle, as a head coach, how do you kind of, reinvigorate everything?
Yeah, Ken, I mean, listen, I hadn't experienced that since probably 1994.
Oh, I
You know,
knew it'd been maybe never. Yeah.
yeah, it's Central Michigan, we weren't great, but so I have to say it's humbling. It's hard. It's hard to know how to act. But you have to move forward and really try to fix your issues. And even when you have a good team, you have to fix your issues. You can't not evaluate your business plan. You have to sit there and make changes. And especially with the environment changing the way it has, you have to really be smart about it. So we knew we had to be more experienced in the backcourt. We were very young in the backcourt last year. We knew we had to get bigger and stronger, and have more depth up front, because that's what got us last year is we had injuries and then we couldn't recover from them. And then we knew we had to shoot the ball better. So we kind of tried to fix all of those simultaneously. And I feel like we did a pretty good job of it.
Coach, you got Day Grant. He's a Miami of Ohio transfer, and he scored 1,100 points in his career there. How is he going to help you by being a key weapon?
Well, as you know, Ken, I'm from Northeast Ohio, and so is Day. He's from Lorain, which is about an hour from Akron, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And, we've kind of made our living in Ohio for years and years. And the last transfer we had from Miami of Ohio, Marcus Weathers was one of the best players in our league. So we knew that if we know those numbers will transfer over into our league. Oh yeah. We were fortunate to get Day Grant. the last player we got from Miami of Ohio was a very good player for us. Marcus Weathers was one of the best players in this league. And we know that the good players in the MAC, that their numbers will transfer over into this league. You look not only at Marcus Weathers, but we had Tavian Dunn Martin, Michael Hughes, and then St. Bonaventure had Jalen Attaway, who ended up being one of their best players. So we know that the league, although it's probably not as good a league as our league, the good players in that league will be good players in this league. And so we're fortunate to get a guy that's played as many games as he has.
And then Terrence Brewer, he comes in as kind of an offensive impetus at 5'8". He's a 39% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, so we knew we had to fix that position as well. Obviously, he's a guy that has had to do it the hard way with 2 junior colleges, and then at Florida International, he's played well. I think he was, by some people's ratings, one of the top pick and roll point guards in the country. He averaged 15 points and 6 assists, and again from a league that's a very physical league. So we were fortunate to get him. One of his best friends plays for the Steelers, ironically. And so, we had some ties into him, and he's just a tough little guy. He's a guy that, that's really going to help us now. He's had a little bit of a sickness issue. He just had his appendix out. So that'll set us back a little bit, but we feel like he's going to be another good player in this league.
Very good, very good. Now you got Joe Reese. He's a 6'8" forward from Bowling Green, another MAC school. Had 3 seasons at Old Dominion. So what are his key attributes in the low post with his size?
Well, he's been coached well. Obviously, he played for Jeff Jones and Michael Huger. So we know he's a good, he's been coached. He's got a good brain. He's very long. He's a good runner. He played a lot of basketball again, which I think, again, that you can't downplay experience. And we have some really good young big people. Just getting somebody older really helps your team, thrive. And I think Joe's going to be a good player for us.
Cool. Yeah. Now with this many new players coming into your program, the changes you make in the players, are you going to change your attack any, or and then how much, and then just I don't want you to tell me exactly how, but maybe an example of something on the surface.
No, it's a great question. So, for years and years, we always had 8 or 9 guys back at Akron, older guys that had to pay their dues, that really knew our system, that understood the system. And now, like with the fluidity of all the transfers and all that, like you have to coach differently. So our style will change some, where we try to be a little simpler, a little more precise, probably do a little bit less, just try to do it a little bit better, because you just don't have them for as long a time period. And so, we're going to try to play a little faster at both ends. I'm still kind of an inside out type of coach, but by the same token, I've coached every which way, because I've coached at the NAIA level where I didn't have anybody over 6'5", and I've coached when I've had 7-footers. So I think we're going to be somewhere in between those two now. And I think you make a great point with the changing of the dynamic. You have to change as a coach.
Yeah, it's almost some type of fluidity like that every season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like being a G League coach now, almost. Maybe not quite as badly when the NBA is scooping up your guys every other week. But by the same token, if you don't adapt, you're going to become a dinosaur. And I'm old enough to be a dinosaur, so I'm trying not to be a dinosaur before my time.
I got you there. The last thing, Coach, as we move into another season, we've got NIL, we've got the transfer portal. Could you share with us your views on the state of college basketball? And if you could change anything about the game, what would it be?
Well, that's an interesting question. Again, I try not to harp on, my opinion on anything, because it really doesn't matter. That's part of the game now. So the only thing I'll tell you is, like, if you don't have name, image, and likeness money, and you're not anticipating change, then you're going to be left in the dust. So it's really irrelevant what I would change. The only thing that I hope for is that the young people that I can coach them like I would my own children and treat them like my own children. And that is tell them the truth without any repercussions, with unconditional love, really, where they understand that I have no agenda other than I just want the best for them. And sometimes now it's a little harder to do because guys don't want to bide their time or share the commitment because it's easier to run out. And so that would be the only thing that I would really change, is just trying to teach young people that commitment is very, very important. And even failure is a good thing at times, not constant failure, but failure can teach you a lot as well.
Yeah. Coach, I see where you're going up to Kentucky and play the Wildcats. Could you talk a little bit about your non-conference, as well as your conference?
Well, I'll start with the conference first. I mean, other than the Power Five, and you're talking about the American and the West Coast Conference, we put ourselves right up in that mix. And the reason being is, this is a league that really puts basketball first. There's some of the schools in the league don't even have football, and the ones that do, it's either 1AA or non-scholarship football. So every resource in this league is going to men's and women's basketball. So, we have a league that's not for the faint of heart. You got people that are putting a lot of money into it. You're drawing 13,000 people at Dayton. You're going to VCU where it's sold out. And then you have a lot of experienced coaches. A lot of these guys are not first-time coaches. So, you get Frank Martin and Archie Miller and Anthony Grant, and I can go on and on and on. Bob McKillop just retired, so you're not outsmarting any of them, that's for sure. So it's a league that everybody has pretty good players because there's a lot of transfers available at this level. And so it's a really good league. And then our non-conference schedule, we've kind of loaded it up with a lot of good high mid majors. So we play Montana. We play Kentucky, obviously. We play DePaul, and that's just to name a few. But there's all of the teams we play, Colgate. They're all good mid-major teams that have won a lot of games throughout their season. So for us, it's going to be a challenge.
Coach Keith Dambrot, ladies and gentlemen, one of my good friends inside the game. Coach, it's always a pleasure to have you on here, and I wish you the best this year.
And same to you. You know how highly we think of you. So thanks again for having us.